Hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin. Check. You already know. Let's go. Golden Blooded is a college football YouTube channel for entertainment. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get into our next college football video. Don't forget to send gear to represent your team. The address is P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. Yes. The story of Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma for USC, and it wasn't smooth in the fact that he kind of trash-talked Oklahoma on the way out. And a lot, not all, but a lot of Oklahoma fans still resent him for that. Now, there is a large majority of Oklahoma fans that could care less what he said, and they have moved on from Lincoln Riley. But, to be honest with you, there are still some Oklahoma fans out there that are still mad at him, still resent him. Because some of the stuff he said about Oklahoma, a little bit ridiculous, if you ask me. Number one, he said you can't recruit at Oklahoma, so they're not going to win a national championship, although Oklahoma did get to the playoffs 3 times under Lincoln Riley. I'm guessing he's blaming the recruiting or lack thereof as far as why he couldn't get past that first round. Whatever, dude. Whatever floats your boat. But to be honest with you, that doesn't make much sense. I think Oklahoma is considered a blue blood. If not, they're close. They're at least close. Oklahoma can recruit football. I mean, Oklahoma, that's what they do, is football. And that's another thing that he threw at football. Oh, there wasn't much to do over there. Football was the only show in town, blah, 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 blah. Wanted to be a part of the LA scene. A lot of other stuff. Didn't want to be in the spotlight. Are you for real? So you go from Oklahoma to USC because you didn't want to be in the spotlight? Dude, you're still in the spotlight, okay? I know USC, it's in Los Angeles and it's, near Hollywood. So there's a lot of movie actors and just a lot of stuff going on. But you still have a spotlight. And especially since USC did well, that spotlight gets brighter. So that doesn't make sense as well. But the recruiting thing, that's the thing that I want to focus on. Now, there's both sides to this, and both sides have an equal argument. Even Lincoln Riley couldn't win in Oklahoma because of recruiting. Now, I don't agree with the recruiting thing, but Lincoln Riley left, in the very first year he left, Oklahoma sunk down to 6-7. So that proves that he was a good coach at Oklahoma. You can't deny that. Going from double-digit win seasons year after year after year, getting to the playoffs 3 consecutive years. I know he missed the playoffs the last 2 years, but still, it was still pretty good. Going from that down to 6-7, that's a big gap. That's a big drop. So he does have an argument there. And when he went to USC immediately went from 4-8 to a double-digit win season, getting to the Pac-12 championship, getting to a New Year's Six bowl, but still couldn't win the big game. He couldn't win the Pac-12 championship, got beat by Utah twice, and then inexplicably lost to Tulane in the Cotton Bowl. They had that show wrapped up. 4.5 minutes left. I believe their lead was like 45-20. And USC just basically fell apart in the last 4 minutes of the Cotton Bowl. So it kind of proves the point of Oklahoma fans as well that Lincoln Riley just can't win the big game. But it's back to the recruiting that I want to focus on, all right? So he's saying that he couldn't win at Oklahoma or couldn't win a national championship at Oklahoma because he couldn't recruit at an elite level. Well, if you look at the 2023 recruiting class rankings, which I did do a video on that yesterday, you will see, yes, USC jumped tremendously under Lincoln Riley. They went from the 70th ranked class last year up to the number 15 ranked class this year. A couple of 5 stars. So yes, he did a great job at USC. Big time jump. But Oklahoma has the number 4 recruiting class in the nation, which I didn't know this, but that is the highest recruiting class in the history of Oklahoma since they started keeping track of these things and since they started actually ranking the teams. That is the highest class that they've ever had. Maybe Lincoln Riley just wasn't trying hard enough. I'm not saying that's exactly the case. I'm just going by what I've seen. Okay, so it did hurt Oklahoma for Lincoln Riley to go to USC, and it did benefit USC for Lincoln Riley to go from Oklahoma to USC, but the recruiting argument just doesn't hold any type of water, dude. I'm telling you, all you have to do is look at the recruiting class rankings. In comes Brent Venables, and yes, has a terrible first year. Loses to West Virginia. The first time Oklahoma has lost to West Virginia since West Virginia joined the Big 12. So, sorry Oklahoma fans, when you leave for the SEC, you cannot say West Virginia never beat us because we actually did beat you at least one time. We'll have maybe one more try. I don't know. They're still trying to negotiate. I did a video on that yesterday. There's this rumor out here that Texas and Oklahoma are actually trying to get out of the Big 12 by 2023, and that's one of the reasons why the scheduling's not out and it's supposed to come out in February. Problem with that is the SEC does have their schedule out, and if Oklahoma and Texas does negotiate their way out of the Big 12 into the SEC by 2023, then that's going to be all exploded, and the SEC is going to have to start from scratch and do another schedule. So I'm not quite so sure that that's going to happen, but that's the rumor, and they're trying to negotiate their way out, and that's why the schedule hasn't been put out. Everybody's sitting on pins and needles waiting for this schedule to come out in February. What's our schedule going to look like? I think it's going to benefit West Virginia because no more round robin, and I don't think the schedule is going to be as difficult, plus there's more Eastern teams. I mean, I know it's only Cincinnati and UCF, but it helps a little bit, and that competition isn't quite as bad as, say, having to play in Oklahoma, Kansas State, TCU, Texas, and even in Iowa State on the road. That's a very difficult schedule, all those teams on the same schedule. We'll still have to play some of those teams, but not all those teams. I digress. Bottom line is there's rumors that they're trying to negotiate their way out, and that's why the schedule isn't out yet. Not quite sure if I believe that rumor, but it's there. A lot of Oklahoma fans think that Lincoln Riley left for USC because he knew that Oklahoma was heading to the SEC, and Lincoln Riley wanted no part of that. The reason being, every time Oklahoma went to the playoffs, an SEC team was there to meet him and stomp him right out of the playoffs. So that's another rumor, and that was on the side of Oklahoma fans. Which, you know what? That could be the case, but once again, I'm not 100% bought into this. This is two sides of the story. They're mad at each other, so some of this could be made up conjecture, and some of this could be true. It could be true. I don't know. The bottom line is Oklahoma fans think that Lincoln Riley left for USC because he knew that Oklahoma was headed to the SEC and wanted no part of that. Here's the problem, though. Did he know that USC and UCLA was going to be headed to the Big Ten? Competition is going to go through the roof for USC once they do start playing in the Big Ten. And the traveling, my gosh, that's going to be rough for USC fans and the USC team in general. The question is, how is the Big Ten going to set up the schedule for both UCLA and USC? You know they're going to try to make it as comfortable as possible. I think they'll couple up games as far as back-to-back road games, and they'll try to schedule as many road games as possible on the west side of the Big Ten. Big Ten is saying we're thinking about doing without divisions, so that might hurt UCLA and USC chances of obtaining more in their road games on the west side of the Big Ten. But still, the Big Ten will do everything possible to make sure their schedule is as decent as possible. Or they could schedule back-to-back road games, say against a Maryland and a Rutgers. Even though that's on the way east side of the Big Ten, those aren't really the toughest teams in the Big Ten. What would be tough is playing, Ohio State and Michigan year in and year out, some of them road games. That would be tough for USC. So I think the Big Ten will do the best they can as far as trying to accommodate USC and UCLA with their scheduling. Will Lincoln Riley have success at USC once USC gets to the Big Ten? That's a legitimate question because they will be in the Big Ten. I'm not sure. He better start recruiting defense, otherwise, no, he will not have success. Because the Big Ten thrives on defense, and if you don't have defense, you're going to get stomped all over on. That's why I'm a little hesitant to say that USC is going to have success in the Big Ten because Lincoln Riley has not learned his lesson. Yes, great offenses. 3 Heisman Trophy quarterbacks and 1 runner-up, only one of which he recruited, but still he developed them into Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, but he has no focus on defense. Alex Grinch is not a good defensive coordinator. Average, maybe. I can maybe give him average, but good, absolutely not. He needs to get a good defensive coordinator if he doesn't care about the defense. Okay, dude. Okay, you want to focus on offense, that's fine. Get you a good defensive coordinator. Otherwise, USC will struggle in the Big Ten. So to sum things up, yes, Oklahoma took a massive step backwards when Lincoln Riley went from Oklahoma to USC. And yes, USC took a massive step forward when he went from Oklahoma to USC. But the recruiting argument, I do not buy whatsoever, not even a little bit, because, well, look at the recruiting class rankings. Even though USC jumped tremendously from number 70 to number 15, which they should, they're USC. Why they had the 70th ranked class, that is mind-boggling. My mind explodes every time I think about that. So yes, they should have a top 20 recruiting class. In fact, maybe it should be higher. I mean, this is USC. And then for Oklahoma, the team that he said you can't recruit good enough to ever win a national championship. They just had their highest ranked recruiting class in the history of these rankings. Number 4 in the nation. So Lincoln Riley, maybe you owe the Oklahoma fans an apology. So y'all let me know in the comments section. Number 1, do you think Lincoln Riley actually owes Oklahoma fans an apology because it looks like Oklahoma can recruit at an elite level? Number 2, do you think USC will have success in the Big Ten once they make the jump to Big Ten, even if Lincoln Riley sticks with Alex Grinch? Number 3, what about Oklahoma in the SEC? And I know I didn't touch on this in the video, but do you think Oklahoma will have success in the SEC as well? Do you think eventually both sides of this situation will let bygones be bygones? I sure hope not, because this is entertaining. That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.